All right. Um, we're gonna do a little video on the Walking Dead, Dead City. I know it's popular right now to kind of bash on this show and in general the Walking Dead universe as it's expanded, and how they never let it end. It just keeps going, and they just keep making more shows. Um, Out of the shows that are currently running. Well, I guess I don't know if they're going to bring the Rick and Michonne show back. That one was probably my favorite. I don't know if it's because I have a bias because Rick is my favorite character. Um, I thought like the first especially the first two, maybe the first half of that season, the first three episodes, really good. Kind of fell off a little bit in the back half, but those first two episodes of the Rick show were some of the best Walking Dead TV stuff I've seen in a while. Um, the Daryl show, the premise originally was silly. That and I'll get into more of this kind of with the way Dead City is going, but how he gets to France, how Carol then gets to France, even more wilder. But honestly, that show I kind of like watching. I enjoyed it. This second season of this Dead City show, it is so painful to watch. I'm currently I'm not even caught up and I'm making this video. I'm on the third episode of the second season, and I can watch it in 15-second spurts, and then I have to pause it and go do something else because I just can't believe how just the way the motivations and the way the where the plot is taking everybody, and the fact that, and I could be wrong about this, but the um as far as the timeline goes, I've heard and they've said, I don't know if it's been confirmed, but the Maggie and Negan show, the Dead City show, is the furthest along in the timeline of all the spin-offs. Um and there's some plot holes with that, with as far as where other characters are, if Rick's back. They haven't mentioned it. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't in episode 4 of this show, probably not. But that's not my biggest gripe. My biggest gripe is that it's been like I mean, how old is little Herschel here? He's 15. I mean, it's been at least 15 years of the apocalypse. And in this third episode of this show, I am watching a bunch of hooligans walk through some tall grass in the middle of Central Park and get taken down by zombies like it's their first day on this planet. It doesn't make sense. The extra people, not Maggie, not the main characters, not the two Babylonian people, and not little Herschel or the girl, whatever her name is. But everybody else, all the extra people that we don't know, I mean, they're just getting yanked and pulled down into the grass like it's a horror movie. And then while they're being killed by zombies, for some reason, we don't hear them screaming as they're being ripped apart and eaten alive. They just kind of you just hear a growl and they just disappear into the grass. And it's just funny because that guy and that lady that just and then the third guy that just runs off into the field because he's scared, he has survived just as long as everybody else in this show. But in that moment, oh, he's scared. He doesn't belong here. That guy should belong there just as much as everybody else. There's really small things like that get on my nerves with this show because characters only behave in a specific way just based on how the writers need them to behave at that current time. And I get that they're extras and I get that they're there to die, but I mean, you have this large group of people that are surviving, that are essentially rebuilding New York City one of the densest populated places on the planet, and they're living within the city on the island of Manhattan with however millions of zombies are there. And then you got this guy in a field that just can't handle a couple coming at him. it let me gather my thoughts. All right, so I think the best way to do this is and this will be a commentary, kind of. I might refer back to season one, but I want to start going through just kind of episode by episode from the newest season, and just go over some things that don't make sense, and maybe hopefully I find some things I like that I can throw in here too. But we'll see. Um, so we got to go back to the first season. So the Croat and the people from New York, they go to Maggie, and I like this twist that she made it seem like they came and found her and kidnapped Herschel, and that she needed Negan's help to go find him. When in reality, they came and they took Herschel, but they said, in exchange for him, we want you to bring Negan here. So I liked that little twist at the end of the first season, that was her motivation for working with Negan. Because otherwise, yeah, it doesn't make any sense that she would need to or want to work with him specifically to go to New York and get her son back. So I like that in the first season. But then the whole reason why the people in New York, like the Dama lady and the Croat, why he was able to convince her that they need Negan, was that because he ran a successful group, because he has charisma, because he can kind of yield power and manipulate people. So, like, the whole first season was just trying to get him so they could use him for the purpose of the second season, which is getting... Which also doesn't make sense, because that didn't seem like a factor in... Unless, I could be completely wrong, but they wanted Negan for some reason. Then they keep him in prison, and this episode opens up with him in this little jail cell again. Listen to the violin, and they just want him to work for them. They want him to be the Negan with the baseball bat, because the New Babylon people are coming to steal their methane production. But in the first season, the New Babylon people had no idea that it existed. And I don't even remember, and again, I'm probably forgetting, but I don't even remember in the first season that's what they were working on. I guess towards the end, maybe they introduced the methane thing, but I thought that was the teaser for this new season, season 2. But anyway, so they wanted Negan for something before the thing even happened. Now all of a sudden they're like, oh, the Babylon people are coming. They want to steal our methane, so we need you to rally the troops, rally all the different groups of people in New York, and get them to fight a common enemy. But that wasn't the main issue in the first season, because the one the colonel, I don't know his name, but he hadn't even been introduced to New York yet. So they wanted Negan for some other reason, and now they're trying to use him for this reason, which they're making it seem like that was the goal all along. Okay, so then the New Babylon people, they go around, and they're rounding up people from all these other groups in, I guess, Virginia, or like Pennsylvania, wherever Maggie is. And they're enlisting them because apparently all these groups signed this treaty by force to be under this group. So they want to go to New York with a bunch of enlisted soldiers that they round up, and they want to take down this New York group, and they want to steal the methane production. But it's in New York. So if they know it exists, if they know that they can turn zombies and convert their bodies into methane, and they can kind of capture that and use it as power, I mean, that idea, as long as the idea exists, can't they just do it? Like, why are they? This seems like a fool's errand to go here with such a small group of people in this little boat, um, to take over this production. When I mean, we know how many people are here, and I think they know as well. But it's just again the way the writing goes. It's this is the show about Maggie and Negan. So how can we get Maggie to go back there and be with Negan? And it's like, well, this is a way, which doesn't make sense. It would have made more sense if Maggie felt guilty because she knows she's supposed to hate Negan. She does hate him. But I mean, over the years, I mean, he has proved that, and I know that she wanted an apology from him, and he couldn't give it to her, and his only regret is that he didn't kill everybody at that first lineup with Rick. And I mean, you got to give it to him. It's like, yeah, if he would have just killed all of Rick's group, he would still be he would still be in control. So, I mean, I might not have said that, but definitely was the truth. But I mean, over the years, I mean, you can see he's trying to protect her. He's trying to protect Herschel. Towards the end of the original show, when he had like 5-year-old Herschel running around, he wants to keep them safe. And I think he's proven to Maggie that he has changed, even though he hasn't apologized. So I think a better way to go about this was maybe Maggie could have felt guilty that she exchanged him for Herschel. And maybe she goes back and Herschel comes with. Well, let's get into the second episode. That was another stupid thing. So Maggie volunteers to go there for on behalf of 20 other people. She's going to take the place of 20 people. And she tells Herschel, oh, you have to stay here. And he goes, okay, I don't want to listen to you, but I will stay here. That whole little song and dance that they do is so silly because you know he's going to sneak away and show up. And then what happens? Oh, he sneaks away and he shows up. It's just, why even bother? Why even bother pretending that he's not going to be in this whole season? Like, he was obviously going to do that. So why try to trick the audience? I would have just found a way that he should have gone. Maybe he's been drawing all these pictures, right? He's drawn pictures of this bridge that's going across the building. He has like portraits of the Dama lady. So they could have done something where he had maybe some inside information about the way they were organized, about where certain locations were, the way they operated, that he would have been vital to coming. And maybe the Babylon people forced him to come, because Maggie still obviously would have said like that he is not coming. And maybe they would force him because they found out that he knew all this stuff. And they kind of they were kind of leading with that. He's like writing in that guy's, the historians, who reminds me of the governor's like sidekick from season 3 of The Walking Dead. But he like draws those pictures, and I feel like that would have been a good introduction to where they were like, oh, this kid knows a lot about what's going on up there. He needs to come. If they wanted to go that route, but no, they try to divert it and pretend like he's not, and then he shows up anyway. And Maggie is the smartest one. And again, it goes back to what I was saying before, where it's like all of these people, even though that we are just being introduced to them for the first time, all of these people have existed just as long as Maggie. Now, I don't know if it's the way that like the Alexandria people were in season 6 of The Walking Dead, where it's like, yeah, they've survived just as long, but they've been behind these walls, so they're kind of green and they don't really know what's going on out there. But I would like to think that like 15 years, you have survived some collapses of communities, of different settlements, and you've had to, escape situations. You've had to fight for your life. Like, there's no way that somebody just existed for 15 years in a little bubble and now all of a sudden they are out. Like, so these these Babylon people who have somehow assumed this power. So obviously they're cunning. They they know how to survive. They can use what like the resources they've obtained over the years to kind of control all these different communities. But yet they just want to like bum rush New York on a ferry when Maggie's telling them that they know that they're coming, and Herschel obviously is setting tires on fire to signal that they're coming for some reason. I just I don't like watching this because of like how pure Glenn was, how he was kind of like the heart of the show, and like when they killed him, the show kind of. I mean, you can look at that's when the show fell off. People stopped watching. And it wasn't just specifically because Glenn died. It was how they handled it with the cliffhanger, and then 2 seasons of Negan within the war. But I don't want to see his son, and I don't want to see them ruin his son. I don't want to see his son, and this is just me. I don't want to see his son have like faults or any flaws or like I want his like that's his son, that's his legacy. Just leave him alone. Just put him like push him aside. Like, if Maggie needs to be in the show, great, but I don't want to see them ruin my boy Herschel. But for some reason he's letting the Croat know that they're coming. Which then leads to the boat that he's on being attacked. And it was only because Negan saw him that he held off long enough for Herschel to survive. So, and Negan was surprised by Herschel being on that boat. So it's not like he was signaling Negan for any reason. And they've had no interaction. So like the only people in New York that Herschel's had interaction with are like the Croat and this Dama lady. So he was definitely signaling the Croat guy. And yet they attack him anyway. And he had to know that that had to be set up that he was doing that. I don't know if Herschel was doing the tires to then try to get the Babylon people to realize that they must have seen this smoke, therefore they know there's people over here. They might know we're coming. So let's not go. But instead, I think their line of thinking was, oh, well, they don't know that we're coming tonight, so let's just go tonight. It's like, yes, they do. They're watching. They are ready for you at any day that you decide to go across the river. It's just stupid decision making for the sake of it, just because like, oh, they have to go across the river because that's what we want to happen in the show. It's hard to critique this because I'm critiquing the entire premise, which I think people are going to disagree with me on. But let's see. So we're on episode 2. I want to talk about one other thing. In classic Walking Dead fashion, when they have a character that they introduce to you in the beginning of an episode that you've never seen before, that is likable, that they name the episode title after something that this character says, they're gonna die. And they did it. I mean, they didn't name the episodes, but they did it in the Rick Show. In both the first and the second episode, they introduced 2 of the coolest characters that the show has seen in a long time. And that's something that this show struggles with because, as you can see, all the spin-off shows are all the original characters from the very beginning. You got, Rick, Daryl, and Maggie from season 2. And so coming up with meaningful characters that have lasted, they have a hard time doing. And then when they introduce them, they just kill them off. They kill off Okafor, and they kill off the other guy, Michonne's buddy. I forget his name, and they introduce him, kill him by the end of the episode. Great. Same thing with Negan. Here's this guy that Negan likes, that Negan's vibing with. This guy plays the violin. He is working with these people, but it seems to be more out of necessity because that's just where he is at the time. So it's survival. And he's got a pretty easy gig. And as soon as you just know that they're just going to kill him, and especially by the time they bring him into the church and put him on the stage and he's playing the violin. I liked that it was kind of like we were slowly watching his death the whole scene while he was playing, and you can tell Negan knows that she's just going to kill him. Like, everybody, I guess that was the point, but do it with somebody else. Don't take these characters that are kind of likable and kind of good and kill them. And I get that's what this show originally did, kind of like Game of Thrones, where it was like, oh, you don't know who's going to die each week. But at this point in the game, let a couple of the likable people live. I'm being forced to watch this lady in charge of the New Babylon people, and she's just trucking along. Maybe by the end of episode 3 or episode 4, she's dead too by the mysterious grass zombies. But why do I have to watch her on the screen when there was plenty of other characters that were more compelling and interesting, and you just kill them anyway? And this is nothing new. People say this all the time. Everything I've watched, I'm just giving my thoughts. I'll probably end it there, and maybe after I finish episode 3 and 4, maybe I'll wait till episode 5. Maybe I'll do another one if I can get through them. But I've been watching so many good shows lately, and this is not one of them. So I wanted to make a video where I complained. That's about it. Feel free to watch some of my other. I made 2 other shorts about the Rick Show. I thought they were cool. I'll just upload that same channel, and we'll see if I continue to make more about The Walking Dead, about other shows in general. But I got some time on my hands, so I thought maybe I'll sit down and make a little video. I will talk to whoever is listening later. Bye.